Hey guys, I hope you've been having a wonderful day. My name is Dion, and today we're going to be playing Pokemon Fire Red, only using fire type Pokemon. Only using water type Pokemon. What was I on? Now, the rules are simple. I can't overlevel my Pokemon. I can't use items in battle, but held items are okay. I will be using other Pokemon to learn HMs, and I'll be playing on set mode. Alright, I think that's everything. And with that, I just want to say thank you for watching my other videos. I really appreciate it. And if I post this on time, I'll post 2 videos in 1 month. Okay, I don't know if I said it already, but subscribe and like the video. I would really appreciate it. With that, let's go ahead and get started. We get our starter Pokemon Squirtle and we name him Tommy. Now, we won't see another water type for a bit, so y'all better get used to his bald head. Our rival's name is Blue, but we don't have to worry about facing him for a while. Anyways, everything was going pretty smoothly until we got to Viridian Forest, where we faced the first trainer there and we immediately get poisoned. Now, we won the fight, but having to go back to the Pokemon Center sucked. Just cause we can't run yet and walking is so slow. But once we got back into the forest, it was a breeze. We make it to Pewter City and we go straight to the gym. There is one trainer we have to fight before facing the gym leader, and we were about half health by the time we won. So I said forget healing, let's go ahead and face our first gym leader, Brock. He sends out Geodude and I go first using Bubble. I left it at 1 HP and what do you mean it didn't faint? With another bubble, we knock him out and he gave me enough XP to level up, learning Water Gun. So when Onix came out, we just used Water Gun, KOing him, getting our first badge. Going to the next area, one of the professor's assistants came to give us something, which turned out to be our running shoes. So that's awesome. Thanks, Mom. Now, as we leave, there's a whole bunch of trainers, and I gotta be careful not to face too many because I might go over the level cap before I even get to the next gym. Some trainers you can't avoid, which made Tommy evolve. Look at him. Handsome little guy, huh? We make it to Route 4 where there's a Pokemon Center and we can get a Magikarp for 500 bucks. I got a little too excited because I didn't look at the gender and we named her Harold. I'm sure she doesn't mind. In Mount Moon, we can get a fossil Pokemon and we get the Dome one. I think this one has Kabuto, and if it ain't, I'm gonna be so butthurt. Unfortunately, we can't use it until the 7th gym, so I want to use it but probably won't. We make it to Cerulean City and immediately face our rival. I had Harold out because I was in the middle of switch training, so I just switch into Tommy and we get hit with a quick attack. Next turn, we use Water Gun, not doing jack. We get hit with a sand attack and I knew right then and there, yeah, I was gonna lose. I beat the Pidgeotto, but at what cost? I'm on 1 HP and Bulbasaur is next, so you know where this is going. We lost. Okay, we stuff Magikarp with drugs and get it to 15 cause you know, I don't want to be too strong now. Wrong! When Bulbasaur was out, I used Bite and I missed. He goes for a Sleep Powder and it lands and proceeds to Vine Whip me twice, KOing Tommy, and Harold didn't stand a chance. I tried like 6 more times and I still flopped. Alright, he's forced my hand. I shoved more rare candies on Harold, which caused her to evolve. Now she's a monster. Alright, for real this time, it's rematch time. With 3 bites, I was able to take down Pidgeotto without taking too much damage, and he sends out Rattata and we use another bite while he goes for a tail whip. Next turn, he goes for a quick attack and I knock it out with another bite. He sends out Abra and we send out Tommy and we just one-shot it with bite. Alright, now we face the real villain, Bulbasaur. We attack first with bite, but he uses Sleep Powder and it lands. No, this is going bad fast. We don't wake up and get hit with a Vine Whip. Next turn, Tommy woke up, used Bite, getting a flinch not once, but twice. After that, with one last bite, we knock him out. Let's go. We will not talk about how long that took me. He told me I should go talk to this dude named Bill, but after we face this gym, we face our next gym leader, Misty. She sends out Staryu and I send out Tommy. She goes first with Water Pulse and I use Bite. Next turn, she does it again, but this time we get confused but it doesn't matter because we still land the bite, KOing Staryu. Starmie is next and uses Swift, where we break out of confusion and land a bite. Next turn, we do the same moves, but I land a critical hit, getting our second badge. I'm not gonna lie, we got a little lucky with some crits, but I'm sure it wouldn't have been that hard if we didn't get them. We head to Bill's house and help him get back to his regular body, and he gives us an SS Ann ticket as thanks. But that's not important until later, so on Route 6, we catch a Meowth and we're gonna use him for an HM. Now that we're in Vermilion, we talk to this dude who gives us an old rod. We start looking and yeah, we could only get Magikarp. Well, that was a flop. But what's not a flop is if we head to the Pokemon fan club, we can get a bike voucher, but we're not gonna get the bike until later. We go to the SS Ann and we give him our ticket, where we run into Blue again, who wants to battle, and this time we get payback because we destroy him. After he leaves, we go to the captain's room and we get the HM cut. We teach it a Meowth and now we can get into the next gym. Now this gym is gonna be our toughest challenge yet, but there's no other way but to go there and get whooped. With that, we face our next gym leader, Surge. He sends out Voltorb and I send out Harold. I use Bite and we get hit with his Shockwave, doing massive damage. Yeah, we gonna lose. I go for another Bite, but it wasn't enough. With another Shockwave, we get taken out. I send out Tommy while he heals and I use Bite, taking it back to half. He uses another Shockwave and I use Bite, taking it to red HP. Next turn, he goes for a Sonic Boom and with one last Bite, we take it out. Bruh, this was just his first Pokemon. He sends out Pikachu and I take him out with a Dig. His last Pokemon is a Raichu and we get taken out with Shockwave. Yikes. We get absolutely destroyed. Alright, let's try again. I would also like to mention that I forgot to save beforehand, so Tommy got over leveled after this fight. But I can't beat it without Tommy, so I'm gonna have to break my own rules right now, but I promise it doesn't happen again. I use a critical dig to take out Voltorb and I use another dig to take out Pikachu. Raichu is faster and lands a Shockwave, KOing us. I send out Harold and use Bite and we get paralyzed. Next turn, he goes for a double team and we couldn't move because of paralysis. So he goes for another double team and this time I use Bite, but I miss. We get hit with his Shockwave, KOing us. Wow. They had me in the first half, I can't lie. Alright, so after a couple more attempts, I never came close, so I had to think a bit harder, and that's when it hit me. Harold learns Dragon Rage at 25. What if I get Harold to 24, almost 25, be one of Surge's Pokemon, level up and learn the move Dragon Rage, and then take out Raichu with it? I'm big braining right now, so let's put it to work. Without taking any damage, I use Bite 3 times and we take out Voltorb, learning Dragon Rage. Pikachu comes out and I switch into Tommy and we get Thunder Wave. He does a double team twice and I was still able to hit him with a dig, KOing him. Raichu comes out and uses double team while I go for a dig. He does it again and we land dig, doing more than half. We use dig again but we miss. Raichu uses Shockwave, taking us to 19 HP, still giving me a chance. Unfortunately, we miss another dig and get taken out with another Shockwave. I send out Harold and I'm surprisingly faster and use Dragon Rage, KOing Raichu, getting our third badge. This one was tough. I got so lucky because I swear Raichu was straight whooping me every time. Now to go to the next gym, we're gonna have to go back to Cerulean where we can get our bike, and on Route 9 we have to be very careful that we don't go over the level cap because we don't get our next Pokemon until we go to the next gym location. And man, this was a challenge because in Rock Tunnel, even though I was using a YouTube tutorial, we still had to face some trainers, and I mean a lot of trainers. Once we are in Lavender Town, we go down this water route because I thought I could get a super rod, and yeah, it was blocked off by a Snorlax. That was a waste of time. And I had to battle some trainers too, shaking my head. Well, since that was a flop, I decided to get my next Pokemon already at Cerulean City. We get our Eevee and we name him Blue Sailor. If you guys know where that's from, tell me in the comments. I want to know if you watched this great show. Anyways, we buy a Water Stone and immediately evolve it into a Vaporeon. Now that I have a Pokemon I can battle with, I go back to Lavender Town and go to the Pokemon Tower because I could get a Pokeflute if I do this whole thing right now. We run into Blue again where we squash him with ease. We go through this whole tower, avoiding as many trainers as possible. We reach these stairs where Marowak is and we couldn't face it, and that's when I realized I need a Silph Scope to do this. And that's a whole other thing we gotta do. Oh man, I done forgot. You know what? I'll just face the gym. It's been too long since I played this game. With that, it's time to face the next gym leader, Erica. She sends out a victory bell and I send out Tommy. I use bite and she uses stun spore, causing her to go first. And that alone was enough to take out Tommy with 2 Giga Drains. I send out Harold and use Dragon Rage twice, getting the KO. She sends out Tangela and I just spam Dragon Rage until we knock it out. Then she sends out her last Pokemon, Vileplume, and I use Dragon Rage, doing about half. She lands a stun spore and next turn she goes first, landing a Giga Drain. And that's a problem because now we can't two-shot it no more. And what's worse is that we couldn't move. She Giga Drains again, but this time I finally land a Dragon Rage. We get hit with another Giga Drain, taking us down to 17 HP. When Harold lands one last Dragon Rage, getting the win. Let's go. That wasn't too bad. I mean, I was a little worried at first when we got absolutely clapped in the beginning, but it kind of worked out, you know? Now, we still have to go get the Silph Scope, but at least we don't have to worry about the level cap anymore. We go to their hideout, and after a while, we make it to the final floor where we face the boss of Team Rocket, Giovanni. Unfortunately for him, my Pokemon are water type, so I destroyed most of his team, and when he sends out his last Pokemon, we just used Harold and used Dragon Rage to win the battle. We get the Silph Scope and head back to the Pokemon Tower, face the Marowak, save the old man from Team Rocket, and he gives us a Poke Flute. So we go back to the water route, wake up the Snorlax with the flute, go to this building to get a Super Rod, now giving us most of our water encounters. Finally, it's about time. So I immediately start looking and we catch a Horsey named Bobby. I also found this. Whoa! I found a Gyarados. I didn't know you could find these in the wild. Anyways, a Shelter named Miss Frost, and a Poliwhirl named Popeye. And I kid you not, a Psyduck that took an hour to find. It was insane. We named him Sir Duck, and honestly, how? That's my question. How did it take so long? Now that we're in Fuchsia, we need to do a couple things first. We head to the Safari Zone to get 2 items. We get the HM Surf and a Golden Tooth. Now, with the Golden Tooth, we need to give it back to this old man who also gives us an HM Strength for helping him. We're gonna need that for later. After we did some level ups where Tommy evolved into Blastoise and Sir Duck evolved into Golduck, we had to Saffron to get the TM Psychic just to find out he can't learn it. Well, that was a flop. My great plan flew out the window so fast. Literally, my whole plan was to use Sir Duck's Psychic to beat the whole thing. We're just gonna have to figure it out. With that, let's face Gym Leader Koga. He sends out Coughing while I send out Tommy. I use Dig and forget he has the ability Levitate. So it did nothing. And we paid for it because he used Toxic. What a bad start. But I guess it didn't matter because he uses Self-Destruct, knocking himself out while we live on 21 HP. I was hyped until I remembered I was poisoned. So I get knocked out as well. He sends out Muck and I send out Sir Duck. Now, this got really drawn out because he kept using moves like Minimize and also using a Hyper Potion. But I just used Confuse until we knock it out. But this is crazy because we get knocked from poison again. He sends out another Coughing and I send out Blue Sailor and use Aurora Beam twice to knock it out. He sends out his last Pokemon, Weezing, and I use another Aurora Beam, not doing much while he lands a Sludge, also poisoning us. I switch moves by using Water Pulse, doing way more this time, and he uses another Sludge Bomb, almost taking us out. Next turn, we knock it out with another Water Pulse. What a surprise. I didn't think we were gonna struggle. Alright, so we go to Saffron, but we can't face the gym because Team Rocket are blocking the entrance to almost everything and is robbing Silph Co or something. So we go, and after a while, we run into Blue who wants to fight. He sends out Pidgeot and I send out Blue Sailor. I use 2 Aurora Beams to KO him. His next Pokemon is a Venusaur and uses Sleep Powder and lands a Razor Leaf, taking me to red HP. Blue Sailor was not going down without a fight and wakes up and does a critical Aurora Beam, taking it down to red HP before getting knocked. I send out Sir Duck and using Confusion, knocking him out. Next is Gyarados and I use a couple Screeches and Confusions before getting KO'd. I send out Tommy and from here here, it was a wrap. I used Tackle taking down Gyarados. I used Water Gun taking down Growlithe and used 2 bites KOing Alakazam. It's too easy. Also in the same room, we could talk to this guy who gives us a Lapras that we named Arthur. But we're not going to use him just yet, mostly because he went to the box anyway. We get to the top floor where we face Giovanni again, and I wouldn't say it was a sweep, but it still was pretty easy. The only Pokemon we struggled with was Nidoqueen, just because Popeye was just not doing much damage at all. So I switch into Tommy and get Poison Sting, which also gets the poison. How unlucky is that? Crazy, but it's okay, because with 2 water guns we win the battle. Now we can face the next gym leader, Sabrina. She sends out Kadabra and I send out Blue Sailor. She uses Future Sight and I use Bite twice, knocking it out. Mr. Mime comes out and I use Bite while she uses Barrier. She also uses Baton Pass, switching into Venomoth, so I get a free turn using Bite. Also, Future Sight finally landed, but it failed. I didn't even know that was possible. Next turn, she lands Psybeam and we use an Aurora Beam, doing big damage. Next turn, she uses Supersonic, confusing us, but we still land the Aurora Beam, knocking her out. Mr. Mime comes back out and we break out of confusion and use Bite, finally knocking out Mr. Mime. Her last Pokemon is an Alakazam and we use 2 bites, winning the battle. So now we gotta travel to Cinnabar Island where we go to this guy who revives fossils. So we take out our Dome Fossil and he revives it, and it turns out we did get the Kabuto, but then I saw this. Level 5? No wonder why nobody ever uses this thing. What the heck? This thing is booty. Now, it's not a problem because I do have rare candies, but in a normal playthrough, genuinely, who's using this? Anyways, we go to the gym and find out that it's locked, and it turns out we gotta go to the Pokemon Mansion. So, you know what that means. YouTube tutorial time. We find the key and now we can face the next gym leader, Blaine. He sends out Growlithe and I one-shot him with Surf. Turns out Harold is learning Hydro Pump, so why not have some fun? Since this is a fire type gym and we have nothing but water. He sends out Ponyta and I use Hydro Pump, missing. We get Fire Blasted, also getting a burn. Hey yo, this isn't how it was supposed to go. Next turn, we land the Hydro Pump, KOing him. Next is Rapidash, and we use Hydro Pump again, leaving him on red HP. But then he used Bounce, making us miss twice and landing the Bounce. And with that, the burn finished us off. That's embarrassing. I sent out Tommy and we used Water Gun until Rapidash fainted, which also took a bit longer because of 2 Hyper Potions. His last Pokemon is Arcanine, and we used 3 Water Guns, beating him, getting our 7th badge. Now we can go straight to the next gym, which is all the way back in Viridian City, where we find out that the gym leader is Giovanni. What? That's crazy. What's crazier is that we didn't bother getting to the level cap and we absolutely destroyed this gym in minutes. We one-shot both Rhyhorns and then one-shot Dugtrio and then 2-shot both Nidoqueen and Nidoking. Ooh, this was the easiest gym fight I've ever done. We get our last badge and now we can make it to Victory Road where we face Blue again. He sends out Pidgeot and I send out Arthur. He uses 2 wing attacks and I use 2 ice beams, getting the KO. He sends out Rhyhorn and I one-shot him with Surf. So he sends out Venusaur and uses a Growth while I use Ice Beam. Next turn, he uses Razor Leaf, KOing me. After that, it was a wrap. Just look at this. Critical hit! Wow, you gotta be smoking ball. Nah, this shouldn't hurt. Yeah, dang, yes it does. Dang, critical hit again? Yeah, I done lost. Wow, that's crazy. Yeah, I got slapped so hard. It was crazy. Let's try again. Venusaur takes down 2 of my Pokemon and I finally knock it out with a Dragon Rage. Alakazam comes out and does a crit Psychic on Tommy. Oh, man. Popeye didn't even stand a chance either. I send out Harold, but we just get Psychic again, losing the fight. Ain't no way. He's forced my hand again. We level up closer to his Pokemon's levels, and we also evolve Popeye. Alright, it's rematch time. This time I send out Arthur and we get Wing Attack while I go for a Shockwave. Next turn, I knock it out with an Ice Beam. I one-shot his Rhyhorn with Surf, and next is Venusaur. He uses Razor Leaf, but it wasn't enough. We use Perish Song, it knocks us out with another Razor Leaf. I send out Herald and use Bite while he goes for a Growth. Now that the count is at 1, he switches, which was very needed. Him doing a Growth is so nasty. He goes into Gyarados, I hit it with a crit Bite that didn't do much. After that, I used 3 Dragon Rages to knock it out. I one-shot Growlithe with Surf, and now he sends out Alakazam and disables Surf, which is awesome because now I can spam Bite to get the KO. He sends out Venusaur and I was able to use Dragon Rage before going down. I sent out Blue Sailor and I was able to land 2 Aurora Beams and 1 Quick Attack, winning the battle. Blue hasn't made us struggle like this since like the 2nd gym. This was crazy. Now we can go to the Elite Four, and I did prep up before we started, and I would like to say that the level cap goes up by each Elite Four member, so I will be leveling up as we face them. With that, let's go ahead and get started. We face our first Elite Four member, Lorelei. She sends out a Dugong and I send out Arthur. She uses Safeguard and I use Shockwave, not doing much at all. So I switch into Popeye and she uses Hail. Next turn, I use Brick Break, leaving her on 1 HP. Ain't no way. She heals and I just keep using Brick Break until we KO. She sends out Slowbro, so I send out Arthur and she uses Amnesia, sharply raising her special defense, making Shockwave not even tickle. She does it again, so I do a Perish Song so she can switch, cause we're not beating that thing as is. We switch into Tommy and she sends out Cloyster. I use Bite 3 times, knocking it out. She sends out Slowbro again and I use Bite first, getting a flinch. Next turn we knock it out. Jinx is next and we use 1 Bite before we get attracted. So I switch into Herald and immediately get Sweet Kiss, making us go to sleep. That's some crazy luck right there. It keeps using Ice Punch before we wake up, but it's too late. After landing 1 Bite, we get KO'd. I send out Tommy and use Bite, flinching and leaving it on red HP. We were so close, but it heals next turn. So instead of Bite, I used Surf, which did way more, and we were able to knock her out. Her last Pokemon is a Lapras, and she uses Confuse Ray. So we switch into Popeye, and it was a close fight, but I came out on top using 3 Brick Breaks. I would have lost if Popeye wasn't faster. And with that, we could move on to the next. We face our second Elite Four member, Bruno. He sends out Onyx, and I send out Surduck. With 1 Surf, we knock it out. His next Pokemon is a Hitmonchan, and I use Aerial Ace, and he misses a Rock Tomb. Next turn, we both flop, so nothing happens. Then I use Screech, and he uses Rock Tomb, lowering our speed, making him use a Sky Uppercut first, doing massive damage. But with 1 last Aerial Ace, we knock it out. He sends out Hitmonlee and uses Mega Kick to KO Surduck. So I switch into Herald and use Surf while he goes for a Mega Kick. Next turn, I use Dragon Dance to raise my speed, while he finally misses a Mega Kick. I use Surf again, but this time he lands a crit Mega Kick, KOing us. Bruh, that's crazy. I send out Popeye and use a crit Surf to finally KO. He sends out his Ace Machamp and I use Hypnosis and it lands. So I use Rain Dance and then Surf, doing a little less than half. I use Brick Break, but he wakes up and uses Scary Face. With 1 last Surf, we KO. His last Pokemon is an Onix, and with another Surf, we KO. Not bad at all. Alright, time for our third Elite Four member, Agatha. She sends out Gengar and I send out Blue Sailor. She's faster and uses Double Team, and I use Bite, doing more than half. She does another Double Team, like dang, how fast do you have to be? And because of that, we miss like 3 times and we get Shadow Punch twice. That's not all. We get Confused Ray as well, but Blue Sailor had enough. He lands the Bite, getting the KO. Man, that was annoying. She sends out Golbat and uses Air Cutter, but we hit ourselves because we're still confused. She goes for another air cutter, but we finally break out of confusion and use Aurora Beam. I thought I could use quick attack next turn, but we did like no damage. She uses another air cutter. Next turn, she heals and we use Aurora Beam, taking it back to yellow, but we get knocked with another air cutter. I send out Herald and use Dragon Dance and then use Bite 2 times to KO. Alright, I don't know what I was thinking, but I get clapped by Arbok using Sludge Bob a couple times, KOing us. I send out Tommy and use Dig, almost taking it out, and she uses Sludge Bomb. Next turn, I use Surf to get the KO. Gengar is next and uses Sludge Bomb while we use Bite. Next turn, we get Hypnosis and get hit with another Sludge Bomb. We wake up next turn and land Bite, but it still wasn't enough. We get hit with another Sludge Bomb, leaving us on 6 HP. And we get poisoned. But it was just enough because with another Bite, we get the KO. Yo, that was crazy. Tommy still fainted though. I sent out Sir Duck and used 2 confusions to take out Haunter, which just made me realize why didn't I use Sir Duck sooner. I think I just forgot about him at the time and it didn't hit me until like half my team was dead. With that, we can face our last Elite 4 member, Lance. He sends out Gyarados and I send out Arthur. He uses 2 bites while I use 2 shockwaves, getting the KO. His next Pokemon is Aerodactyl and uses Ancient Power, but we tank it and use Surf, almost taking it out. He heals and I use another Surf, taking it back down. Next turn, he uses a Hyper Beam, almost taking us out, but with another Surf, we KO. Dragonair is next and we get Hyper Beamed again. But this time we got unlucky and it KO'd us. So I send out Herald, and this is where I found out that Dragon Rage does 40 damage to all Pokemon. I thought it did more when used against other dragon types. Well, that's embarrassing, but I guess it's just whatever. I keep spamming it until we win. He sends out another Dragonair and I spam Dragon Rage until I get taken out with Outrage. I send out Blue Sailor and use Aurora Beam to KO. He sends out his last Pokemon, Dragonite, and I use 2 Aurora Beams to get the KO, beating the last member to the Elite 4. And honestly, that wasn't too bad. I'd say that's probably the easiest fight we've had. Lance tells us that someone else beat him first, so we have to face that person to become champion. We go to the room and find out that Blue has become champion, and now we have to fight him for the final time. He sends out Pidgeot and I send out Arthur. I use 3 Ice Beams to take him out, but also keep in mind, he used 1 Full Restore. He sends out Rhydon, but I just one-shot him with Surf, and his next Pokemon is Venusaur. He sets up a Solar Beam, and I use Perish Song so that I can deal with it later, assuming he does switch. Next turn, he takes me out with that Solar Beam. I switch into Psyduck and the count fell to 2. He sets up another Solar Beam and I use Confusion, not doing much. Next turn, he lands the Solar Beam, which jokes on him. The count fell to 0, KOing him as well. I send out Herald and he sends out Alakazam. He uses Reflect and I use Bite, not doing much. He uses Psychic and I use Dragon Dance, and next turn I use Bite, but he uses Recover, gaining a lot of health back. What's worse is that he uses another Psychic with a crit to KO me. Oh, this is going bad fast. I send out Tommy and he uses another Psychic, but it does so much damage. I use Bite thinking I got the KO, but no! It leaves it on red HP, and then he uses another Full Restore. Oh man, it just gets worse from here. Watch this. Oh my god, critical hit. That's insane. Another Full Restore. Oh, nice. Please hit yourself. Let's go. Oh! Oh, he's cheating! He's cheating! 5 restores! Well, it was 4 restores, but still, I've never seen any champion use 4 restores in my life. It was a wrap after this. Alright, we lost. For the last time, it's rematch time. This time, I was able to use a crit Aurora Beam to KO Pidgeot. Next is Venusaur, and he sets up a Sunny Day while I use an Aurora Beam, leaving it about half health. Next turn, it lands the Solar Beam, and I live with 4 HP. Blue Sailor is insane. I use another Aurora Beam, but it lives with 1 HP. Oh, this sucks, man. He heals and I was able to land one last Aurora Beam before going down. I sent out Arthur and with Ice Beam I finished him off. Next is Rhydon and I just one-shot him with Surf. He sends out Alakazam, so I switch into Tommy, taking a Psychic. After that I spam Bite until Tommy couldn't no more. After that I send out Harold and do the same thing, but this time I was able to KO him. He sends out his own Gyarados and I use a couple of Dragon Rages before going down. I send out Arthur and using 2 Shockwaves we KO. He sends out his last Pokemon Arcanine and I spam Surf like 4 times because it kept using potions and Surf was not one-shotting, but it's okay. Because with that we beat Pokemon Fire Red only using water type Pokemon. And this is probably my biggest accomplishment yet. Just because I played Pokemon Black and White only using grass type Pokemon and I couldn't beat it at the end. Now if you want to see that video, maybe it's here, maybe it's there, I don't know. But give it a watch, I had a lot of fun with that one too. And with that, I hope you enjoyed the video. If you haven't subscribed yet, subscribe. Ain't no way you're at the end point and you haven't subscribed yet. But for real, have a great rest of your day. See ya.